Good morning. My name is Reverend Ed Tansey, and I, along with Reverend G. Stewart, welcome you, our Facebook Live family, to our Sunday morning talk. We are the founding ministers of Center for Spiritual Living, Greater Boston, and we are located at 50 Dudley Street in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Here at this center, we learn and we practice the wonderful philosophy of the science of mind, which is the study of life and the nature of the laws of thought. I invite you to visit our website, cslboston.org, to find out more about our spiritual family here, this phenomenal philosophy called the science of mind, and see how our community can serve you. And if you are being spiritually fed by our message, you can include us in your prosperity circulation or tithing practice with your tax-deductible contributions that you can make right online. And we thank you in advance for your contributions. So, 3 weeks away. 3 weeks away, a 15-night transatlantic cruise, the Azores, 3 ports in Ireland, then to Amsterdam for a 2-night stay, and then to Paris for a 3-night stay. Wow. We surely covered a lot of territory, but the most important thing, both Rev G and myself, we nurtured ourselves, we took care of ourselves, we refilled our cups, and we had a great time. But I will tell you this, we so missed our spiritual family here at CSL Greater Boston, and it is really so good to be back. So good to be back. We missed being here. So, getting down to business now, our 2019 Center for Spiritual Living theme is Spirituality in Action. And the theme for April is Compassion. I care for the poor. And our talk today is entitled, First Choose Peace. First Choose Peace. Now, as we know, as religious scientists, everything begins with the individual, with ourselves. We must be peaceful first in order to experience peace. Just as if we want to experience love, we must be loving. What we want to experience begins first within. That's where it all happens. It begins within. So peace. Peace is a feeling. It's a state of being. It's a state of being that is trusting, that is calm, that is non-resistance. When one can come from this consciousness and live life from that state of being, automatically it brings love, unity. And we know that the basic principle of unity is oneness. Many of you who have studied with us know it's about oneness, being all with all life. I am one with all life, enjoying all of life's diversity, uniqueness, being loving, being inclusive, being joy-filled, being peaceful. You know, the divine, God, Buddha, whatever name you call it, gave all of its creations the gift of choice. And each of us can choose to be peaceful. We can choose to live our lives from this consciousness. So, in the eye of the storm, it expresses it in this way. Based on this principle of unity, we understand that this one life moves through all of creation, expressing differently with each form of life, but all still part of the tree of life. Each of us is a branch of the tree and part of the tree of life. There is only one presence and one power. There is only one presence and one power. So, since unity is our foundation, meaning oneness is our true relationship with all of life, then logically speaking, nothing and no one can be against me or you. Therefore, everything and everyone is for me, is for you. It's not rocket science. Think about it. It really isn't. Each and every one of us, each of us, we are born to awaken to the fact that we have been born so that we can realize our magnificence, live our magnificence, experience ours as well as others' unique expressions, because each of us so beautifully show up. No one can show up like me, as no one can show up like you. It's all unique. It's all beautiful. So you see, coming from this peace brings about unity, love, and inclusivity. And I feel this is the key to living a peace-filled, harmonious life. So what I'm going to do this morning is use different parts of our cruise and land experience in the last 3 weeks to demonstrate the benefits of living in the state, in the consciousness of peace, which, as I said, fosters love, unity, inclusivity, and respect for all the different branches that create the glorious tree of life. Or as I, as many of you know, refer to it as the beautiful bouquet of life, where every flower is needed for the bouquet to reach its magnificence. So see, you're all flowers. And you are all needed to let that beautiful bouquet shine its beauty. So, the first slide I'm going to show you is what I call Experience 1, the dining room. The dining room. So, this was our waiter, our assistant waitress, and these were the lovely people that we shared dinner with every night at our table. So, here's what happened. The first night that we were there at 8 o'clock was our seating, and we headed to the dining room. So as Rev G and myself got there, we realized that they sat us at a table for two. And we've always gotten and requested a group table because we like to experience different situations, different people, and, it's just a nice way of travel. So what we did is we went to the maitre d' to resolve the situation, and just as we were walking up to the desk, there was a couple that was asking for a table for two that were on a group table, really. And we said, we have a solution. And peace was restored easily. Just like that, really. And there was like over 2,900 and something guests on this ship, okay? So, the nice thing about it is the group at this newly assigned table that was there was such full of fun, laughs, and we all shared time throughout the cruise socializing, even outside of the dining room. It was really fabulous. And the thing that I want to mention here is that on that table of 10, there was only 2 people who originally were designated for that table. The other 8 of us came from different situations, and the blend was divinely ordered because it couldn't have been better, let me tell you. We so enjoyed it. Okay, that was Experience 1, the dining room. Now, Experience 2, Brent, the hot sauce waiter. Brent, the hot sauce waiter. Well, let me explain that to you. Every night, we were blessed that because of our status with Royal Caribbean, there was a 4-hour cocktail party with hors d'oeuvres and all the spirits you could want. And Rev Ed took in all of the spirits that I wanted and all of that. But anyway, Brett the hot waiter man, after me coming and being in that place of loving kindness, knowing that all that happens is for my highest and best, that was the consciousness I had with this cruise. The cocktail waiter, after he was bringing me many, many killer hot Bloody Marys, literally, shared with me his homemade hot sauce that he went and got in his cabin so that I could use it. He wanted me to experience it because he says, I make this great hot sauce from my country. And he just did this on his own. And even more, I was so happy to see that he gave me some to take home. Just like that. I mean, here. He was such a kind and thoughtful young man. You know, and let me tell you, that stuff was hot, and I'm so glad I have some home, man. It's great. So, show slide. Experience 3, I call it the eye candy. Gee, the eye candy. Well, let me explain that. There were 3 assistant waiters that several of us at the table thought were lovely eye candy. I wonder who. I was one of them, as you see. So I asked to take pictures with them and share how. Now imagine me, a gay guy going to these streets, saying to them how handsome they were, and each of them responded so nicely. I mean, they had such such fun with it. You know, they were joyful, they responded in fun, and the picture of the 2 of them with me in the middle, gee, I wonder how I got there. He said to me, well, which one do you like better? And he started to laugh. But anyway, I mean, just when you come from that love, it just goes out. And you get it right back, because what we are that radiates from us, it's a magnet that attracts that around you. That's the point of it. So that's the eye candy. They were fabulous. That's what I had to look at all week. It was really tough. But anyway, experience 4. You can shut that now, Rev G. Experience 4. The entertainer. The entertainer. Now, every night there was shows, there was entertainment. It was just phenomenal. So we had front row seats, and both Rev G and myself, as unexpressible as we are, as you know, people who know us, we were in that front row. We were cheering, we were clapping her on. We were exuding loving energy to her as she was performing, to the point that she actually noticed us and gestured to us many times, literally, throughout her show. We liked her so much. This woman was a Broadway actress who actually sang the song Memories from Cats. So, I mean, phenomenal. I haven't seen a woman or a man have that such command of a stage in a long time. She played that stage beautifully. So, of course, 2 days later, there was a second show. So, of course, Rev G and I, at 3 o'clock, we run there. We got our 2 seats again. And at that show, she actually sang to us. Literally. You know, and then after the show, we had pictures taken with her. And here's what she said that really just brought tears to my eyes. She says, you guys made my show for me, and I was singing to you. I mean, that was just so precious. A great, great lady. Yeah, that was fun. That was fun. You're going too fast, Reggie. All right, now, experience 5, the blinking cherry. The blinking cherry. Interesting. So let me tell you, during the first cocktail night, you know, we're walking around, and, you know, there was a woman sitting there with her husband who had a martini glass. And I noticed that in her glass, there was this cherry that was blinking. Now, you know I'm very quiet and very shy. So what I did is I had to make notice of her blinking cherry, which I did. And for several nights after that, she kept having it in her drinks. We had conversations about it. We were laughing about it. Because of that, we really got to share a lot of stories throughout the cruise. We really became like little cocktail party friends as the cruise went on. It was 15 nights, you know. So what I thought that was very precious, toward the end of the cruise, she gave me a blinking cherry to take home. Again, you know, you have fun with people, you're loving, you're kind, you come from peace, you get it. So, enough with the cherry. The Moulin Rouge experience. Have you all heard of the Moulin Rouge?
Oh, yeah.
Oof. Well, let me tell you, the night before we left Paris, we had show reservations. And here's the story about the Moulin Rouge. That seats 900 people. And it's like they place you wherever you want. There are no assigned seats. So, upon entering, I was joking with the usher, and I says, I know you're going to give me one of the best seats you have in the house. I says, I just know it. This would be really nice if I get a great seat. So where does he take us? To the second row of tables, smack in the middle of the stage. I mean it. And if you had the first row of tables, you were so close to the stage, like, would you say the smoke was coming?
Smoke was like rolling off into the people.
So, this literally, I'm telling you, these were the best seats in the house. And I have to tell you, and plus, in that table, we were the first ones here. There was 4 other people. And I must tell you, seated at that table was a couple celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary. They were wonderful. Then there was this young couple. They were together 5 months. They weren't married, but they were together for 5 months. And they were so loving. And he is a professional soccer player. I forget what team he in England. And she's a dancer. And they've been together 5 months. And then, of course, there's Reb G and I married for 14 years. So we had so much to share. And it was just a great table. There was great, inspiring conversation by all of us. It was a fabulous experience. I'll tell you, if you ever have a chance to go there, it's something that I know I will never forget. Just to be there, and I have to tell you, I haven't seen a show with so many feathers, glitz, dancing, and different things. I mean, 2 queens being at the Moulin Rouge. What gets better than that? Really? Come on now. All right, so that was a place that I would recommend to everyone. Great, great time. So now, I gave you 6 experiences, 1 through 6. These were demonstrations of the benefits and results of living in a consciousness that I shared with you, of unity, of oneness, of peace, of love, and inclusivity. Now, at times, people, we all know that life situations, come on, can get us out of alignment with what I've just mentioned. Life happens at times that really brings about challenges which can take us from that alignment with the divine, out of alignment with that consciousness of unity, oneness, love, etc. Now I'm going to explain to you experience 7, which is an example of just that. I'm going to call that experience 7, there's no slide, the Metro Cops. So here's me, who's pretty, when it comes to facts and everything, things that need to be done, I think I'm pretty on target. Well, without realizing that I needed to keep my little Metro ticket, once that you enter the Metro station, you put in this thing, then it comes out, you take it. I thought you'd have to throw it away. So what I did is, I got my ticket, I entered, and on the second day, I just threw the ticket away. I threw the ticket away. There was a checkpoint of cops verifying passengers in the Metro of paying their ticket by checking their used ticket. Oh, so I explained to the police that I did pay. They didn't want to hear it. They fined me. I felt like a criminal. They fined me €50. But they went down to 35 because I had other tickets in my pocket that I paid for previously. But I must tell you, during this exchange, I was getting more and more out of alignment. My Italian, the smoke coming through my ears was showing. I was getting more out of alignment. They were rude. They were badgering. I was rude. I I was not in alignment. I was badgering, and let me tell you, it wasn't a pretty sight. How I didn't get arrested is beyond. I'm telling you, I said, whoa! Imagine over a fine. But anyway, I really felt like they weren't listening. Boy, what it feels like not to be heard. Okay? So, here's the thing. I didn't choose peace first, and unfortunately, I suffered the results of my decision. And I'm done. Rev G, you're
Not that Rev Ed ever has situations like that arise. That's what it's like being married to an Italian. So I just want to say for myself, Rev Ed spoke as well, but I have so missed my spiritual family, and it's been so wonderful to be back. Yes, it was wonderful to be there, but I'm telling you, on the way home, we were like saying, this is really powerful. We're ready to be home. So, gone so long. So as I look back at the last few weeks, I can see how choosing peace first makes sense. You know, and the many things that Rev Ed shared, you know, I want to talk about some of the things that that I experienced in this trip as well. So, as we talk about this idea of peace and choosing it first, what I want to share today is I want to share some experiences we had on our trip and synchronicities, also sometimes that felt less than joyful, and how choosing peace can make appearances of falling apart come together. And how we can get ourselves up to choosing peace first all the time. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right, let's do this. So it's easy to choose peace. For me, it's like when we talk about this first thing, it's easy to choose peace when you're stepping onto a cruise ship because everybody is there to make you happy. It's all about making you happy. And so how can you not feel peace? When you walk onto the ship and they're handing you champagne and you're feeling the joy of everyone around you coming onto the ship, and you know that there's going to be someone there to make up your room twice a day, so your bed is beautifully made twice a day at least. You're going to have cute little animal towels on your bed. I mean, you're going to be treated like royalty in the dining room. They're going to drop the napkin in your lap as they hand you the menu with no prices on it. Well, unless, of course, you choose the filet or something like that. But with all it, so you have all of this beauty and joy. It's all about being happy and joyful. So choosing peace is pretty easy, right? So it would seem, yes. And it was. For the most part, it really was. There were just a few moments when things can happen and things can get out of alignment, but for the most part, it's pretty much joyful. You know, you run into a few people who are unhappy, and I still look at you and I go, how can you be unhappy on a cruise ship? But that's okay. Some people need to experience that, right? We all need to go through what we need to go through. So, the thing about the cruise ship is you have an option of, for breakfast and lunch, you can go to the dining room or you can go up to the Windjammer, which of course is the gigantic buffet. Not that there's not enough food on the ship, you know, there's hardly any. But so we like to go to the dining room for breakfast and sometimes for lunch. And so, you know, a few mornings during the week we went to the breakfast, and we always like to choose to share because there we get the opportunity to meet new people. Because we love to meet new people and connect with people and really get a sense of other people's lives, because that's what it's really about. It was interesting because when we were on the cruise, one of our traveling mates at the dining room table said, you know, how can you hate when you travel? Because you're meeting new things, you're getting new experiences, and it really is all about the love. It really is. So, but I always like to say that when we choose a table and we choose to share, you know, it sometimes is not always a wonderful thing. You know, like Forrest Gump's mama says, life is like a box of chocolates and you never know what you're going to get. And in that case, there were those occasions when we had some real duds at our table. It was okay, but we learned something from that and we grew through that. and we still loved beyond what the appearance may have been, whatever we were experiencing. So this one morning, we sat with this couple, and it was interesting because that couple we connected with, but everyone else at the table sort of ignored us. And I thought, okay, that's fine. Why did you share? But but we had a lovely time because she and her husband did a lot of traveling, and they were on a lot of different cruises. And the thing about it is that when we got to the end of the meal, the husband brings out these little origami dollar bills. So they were little origami dollar bills. And he gives them as tips to the waiters. And he just happened to have one that was a heart. And I'm going to pass it around so you all can look at it. And this one, you know, it's like when Ed saw it, he was like, oh, when Rev Ed saw it, he was like, oh, wow, that's so pretty. And the guy said, well, here, you can have it. So, you know, then of course Rev G didn't have anything. And so he said, oh, and you know what? I have this one that's a little Scotty dog. And I said, well, there's synchronicity, right? I'm a Scot. I come from Scotland, my family ancestry. And here I get a Scotty dog. So I thought that was really cool. So here, Rev Ed, if you want to just take those things, people can take a look at them, pass them around.
And these were just folded?
These are just folded
And he-
from dollar
he does
bills.
this.
It's so cool. You'll see them as they come around. And so this is what he loves to do. Well, here's another synchronicity about this gentleman and his wife, is that as we're talking, you know, he brings up the subject of that they were traveling with his mother, and that she drives around in one of those little motorized things, and she has this little propeller, this little like whirligig thing on the front of her thing, because we had seen earlier in the cruise, we saw this little old lady on there, and she had a different whirligig each day. So every time we'd see her, she had a different little colored whirligig. And I just thought that was so funny that we had seen her before, and then we end up sitting with the family. But it was like that connection, but that's that synchronicity. There are no accidents in the universe. There's always possibilities for new and exciting things to happen in our world. So that was just such a wonderful experience. So now, when I go on the cruise ship, I always love to try out for the karaoke and try and get into their competition for the karaoke, because my favorite song to sing is My Way on the cruises. And so I entered and I won.
And I told him he went to my music school.
And I always tell him that I failed, because if I went to his music school, I couldn't sing. So, but here's an interesting thing about this. So when they came to the competition, and one of the ladies that was at our table for our dinner was actually in the competition as well. She was selected as well, because she sang a song as well. So it was just really fun that, like, here again is that synchronicity. We're connecting deeper with the people at our dining room table, and then we're having things that are happening together, and so on and so forth. So as we're talking with the judges, and the judges that they had for the karaoke were actually from the production show. So they have the dancers and the singers and all of that are a part of the production shows that they do on the cruise. And as we spoke with this one man who was one of the singers that we had seen in the shows, it was really interesting because, you know, he said, you know, where do you sing, or what do you do this? And I said, well, I just sing in my center, right? When I have an opportunity here and there. So it's like, but I don't really sing professionally. And he said, really? What kind of a center is that? I said, well, the Center for Spiritual Living, Greater Boston. And both of us are reverends. And he goes, wow. He says, I'm from Agape. From Agape. Agape International. I was so stunned. I was so amazed. It was like, wow. Now here's an even more interesting thing, right? If we talk about synchronicities and being in that flow of peace and love, is that I kept saying to Rev Ed, I kept saying, I think we've met him before. And so I kept talking to him about it, and one evening when we were in the dining room, the whole production crew came and they sat at a table. They were all dressed up. It was one of the formal nights, and they all sat together, and they were having like a little birthday for one of the people in the group. And so Rev Ed, went over and he said, I'm going to go over and ask him. And so he did, and it turns out that we had met him at the first convention that we went to after we started the teaching chapter. So we had actually met him before. So there again, all that interconnectedness, that oneness, that sense of things always coming together in peace. So that's the thing that I just thought was so powerful. So now let's talk about making the appearances of falling apart coming together. How's that? This is the part we all need to work on. So as you get off the ship, you begin to miss that everybody is there to serve you. And then that they are there to make you happy, right? You start to miss that because it doesn't seem quite the same as you move away. So we stepped into Amsterdam, and it was lovely, and it was cold, very cold. And I believe as we stepped into Amsterdam that the joy of the cruise was still elevating us in positivity and the positive energy that we had experienced. So we step into our room in the boatel. When I say boatel, I mean truly a boat that was floating on the water that was a hotel. So we actually had a room. And so as we step into our room, we realize it's like, okay, so this isn't the cruise ship. It was nice. It was okay. And we had towels. But it was different. But the beauty of the boatel was that it was just a few short steps around to a water taxi that takes you over to Amsterdam. So here we are at a distance from Amsterdam, a little bit of a distance, but there is this free water taxi that you get to take over to Amsterdam, and it was so much fun, to be able to ride on the water taxi. Now the thing about the water taxi is that it really is a commuter system of some type that they use there. They use a lot of water ways of getting around in Amsterdam because there's so many canals and different ways of getting around. So as you get onto the water taxi, you realize that you're crammed into this boat with all kinds of people and dogs and bikes and bikes and bikes. I didn't know if I mentioned, but in Amsterdam there's 2 bikes for every 1 person. I mean, it's amazing the number of bikes. So, but in all of this, even in all of this being crammed together on this water taxi, we experienced peace. Because there was such a calm, and everyone just calmly did. They all swished on, and they all moved off whenever we got to the location. So it was a sense of peace, and you just felt this peace as you float, on this beautiful boat that takes you over and then drops you off in the center of the city. I mean, what better thing is that, right? Beautiful synchronicities, everything flowing in order. And even in all this hustle and bustle, you can still find peace. And so that's the thing we all need to work on in ourselves, right? Is to find the peace in the places that aren't so peaceful, right? So then we're off to Paris, right? So we get on the train, and it is a plush and peaceful train. Really loved it. And it had these wonderful, comfy red velvet seats that you could just melt into, that just gave you a sense of more peace. As you flew by rail down this track at 170 miles an hour or more, or less, depending, and you just fly to Paris. And then we reached Paris. And in Paris, we were able to get an Uber and Ubered ourselves over to the hotel, and we were awakened. So we reached the hotel, and we realized that that as we moved away from that sense of everyone wanting to please us, that we were moving into a place of less people who really wanted to please us. And we understood that, when we went to the hotel, that it was customary that if you wanted the breakfast that you could pay for €50 per person if you wanted to enjoy their little continental breakfast. After we saw it, we said $4.50, I go to McDonald's and get more. So we decided not to do that. However, we were shocked to find out that you had to pay €3 for a towel. You didn't get a towel with your room. And so we got the towels, and when we got the towels, we opened them up, And you know those little microfiber cloths that you wash your car with? It was a slightly larger version of that. So we were awakened with all of these different things.
No ice.
So, what's that?
No ice.
And no ice, yes, absolutely, yes. So we step into the room, and fortunately, you know, when we were looking at the hotel, we noticed that there were rooms without showers, and I said, that's not happening. I'm not sharing a shower in France. So, and some rooms that didn't have bathrooms, and then you would share the bathroom down the hall, and I was like, that's not happening either. So we step into our room, which is tiny. I mean, tiny. So in the bathroom, the sink is here, and it was about that wide. And then you had room to step in here, and the toilet was right here behind you. And then the shower was right here. I think the shower was larger than the entire bathroom. And as we open our window, we realize that we are facing out at a busy, traffic-filled freeway. And just beyond that, a hospital with the blaring of sirens regularly from the ambulances coming and going. So we had the opportunity to find peace where there wasn't any, or it appeared that there wasn't any. Now, Rev Ed came up with a great idea that as he heard the traffic on the road, and you had to keep the window open because you needed some air because there was no air conditioning in the room. Rev Ed said, you know, well, if you listen, it kind of sounds like the ocean hitting the waves. So we can just imagine that we're at the beach. So we did a lot of that, and we found that that didn't bother us, all the traffic and coming and going. It really wasn't something that was overwhelming. And we found that we could find peace in that place. And we did find peace. And of course, with all that Rev Ed shared about this peace that we found, you know, one of the things is that how can you not be in a place of joy and find peace when you are together in Paris sharing the Eiffel Tower, the Seine River cruise, Versailles, the Louvre, and of course the Moulin Rouge. All of these things brought us joy. So if we can find joy, we can find peace. Would you agree? Mm-hmm. And so sometimes we have to look for the joy where there may appear not to be the joy. I always say if there's not a miracle present, because I think that everything is a miracle, and you feel like it's not present, you need to look for the miracle. Because it's there. It can't not be. What do we say here? That God is all there is. And if God is all there is, then it's in everything that we see. Yes, there are those challenges, but that's what brings us the opportunities to grow spiritually. Would you agree? That's what gives us that opportunity. So the last thing I want to share is how can we set ourselves up for choosing peace first all the time? How do you think we would do that? What do you think is the answer to that? What's that?
Just to say, going within, sort of meditating.
Spiritual practice, right?
Just
Exactly.
knowing
It's our spiritual practice. It's finding the spiritual practices that help you to move through. And for me, it's doing spiritual practice every day. Some of the times when we had the most uncomfortable experiences on the trip, we didn't do our spiritual practice. We didn't step into that. And it showed up in our world around us. So for me, it's all about it. Doing the spiritual practice, spiritual mind treatment, our form of prayer, visioning, meditation, study, positive reading materials, all those different things. So for me, a day without spiritual practice is like a day without sunshine. As we do our spiritual care, we will always find that what is appearing to fall apart will always be falling together. Namaste. So if you'll join me in prayer. So just Just taking a moment to move within, closing out the outer world by closing our eyes and moving within. And in this place and in this space, what I call for today, what I declare, what I claim for each one, is for each one to experience joy, love, and a peace, and the ability to choose peace first. So just recognizing that there is one infinite universal power, one creative force, one universal good, one presence that is alive and awake and aware in everything, as everything, and through everything, for it is all there is. This presence that I call the Mother, Father, God is awake and aware and alive in and as and through all of its creation. Therefore, I know it is expressing in my life, as me, in me, and through me. It is the very air that I breathe. It is breathing me. And as I know that about this divine presence, I know this is not only my truth, but it is the truth of all throughout the cosmos. It is the truth of each individual in this sanctuary, each one at home that may be watching us on Facebook Live. It is all throughout the cosmos are one with this one, no exceptions. No exceptions. All are one with this one. And it is in this place of knowing this oneness with God, this oneness with each individual, this oneness with the universe, that I simply call forth right here and right now this truth, that this divine essence is awakening in each one the desire to choose peace first. Choose it first, knowing that in this place of peace that all good, the good of the universe, is fulfilling all needs of health, wealth, reality, all that is each one's life is fulfilled to completion and joy and light and love. Because that is the divine desire, is to express itself in and as and through each one of its creations. And I am grateful in knowing that this good is absolutely fulfilled right here and right now. That it is complete, that it is done, that it is absolutely one in that divine idea, complete and fulfilled. And in this place of absolutely knowing this fulfillment, I simply gratefully release and let go and surrender this word into the activity of the law that says, yes, it is done, it is fulfilled, it is complete right here and right now. And I simply ground this by saying, blessed be, amen, ashe. And together we say, and so it